What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Wednesday night's Anfield Agenda, late night agenda. So I hope that you're all well. We do have a lot to go through tonight. We're going to be talking about what on earth is going on with the Mohamed Salah situation. Mr. Turkey Al Sheikh posting a picture of him in, I think, an Al Hilal kit. We're going to ask what's going on there. We're going to give you the latest on Liverpool's pursuit of a left back as well. Lots of names starting to come into the fray there. We're going to be reporting on record revenues for FSG and Liverpool Football Club of 700 million. We're going to be asking, are the journalists wrong about Zubimendi? That and lots more to come over the course of the next 90 minutes or so. Appreciate you guys all being with me. I've got to do something really quick before we get stuck into the stream. Just got to remind you that we are being brought to you tonight with thanks to our friends at Surfshark. So bear with me for 83 little seconds and then we'll get stuck into it. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe and secure from hackers. Using Surfshark, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries or other streaming platforms like DAZN in Spain for all those important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. Everything. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe from being hacked if you use public Wi-Fi. Let's say you're in a cafe, you're at college, you're out and about, they've got you covered. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning you can share your account with friends or family or that neighbour who's a little bit cheap. On top of all of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can also upgrade to Surfshark One, which includes the VPN, an alert system for breaches related to your data, such as emails and credit cards, and an antivirus software for your desktop. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for a little over €2 a month. Simply scan the QR code on screen right. Thank you very much for your patience, my friends, and of course thank you to our sponsor Surfshark as well. I like to get that ad read or ad play out of the way early in the stream so we can then settle into the news, and again thank you for your understanding. Right, ladies and gents, where to start tonight? I mean, it's been a bit of a mad day, if I'm being honest with you. I've been sitting back and watching a lot of these stories unfold, and I'm as confused as ever. I don't know what's going on with the Salah situation. I don't know if you guys seen the post from Mr. Turkey Al Sheikh. Basically putting up a picture of Salah in one of the Saudi kits with, I don't know, some just emojis along with it. So I'm going to try and figure out with you guys what that means. We're going to ask, have the journalists got it wrong around Martin Zubimendi? You know, there was Sami Mokbel, I think it was, and David Ornstein ran with the story saying that it looks like he was on his way to Arsenal, but there's been contradictory reports coming out of Spain. So yeah, I mean, I almost don't know where to start with it, but I feel like we should start with a post from Moby Hake on X, which was about the revenue for FSG in Liverpool. So this little piece here said, our revenue for this season is expected to be a record-breaking one, with estimates around £700 million. We also have no PSOR financial rules or concerns on what we can spend. Now, it's always great to hear that the club are in a healthy financial position. It's always great to hear that we've got no PSOR concerns. But it'd be greater to hear that we're spending some money, because this just makes it all the more galling. Now, to be fair to Moby, he wasn't trying to stick up for the owners. He was speaking a little bit down underneath his post about, you know, what's going on. Why is everybody frozen? So it's a mad one. And I don't know how you're all feeling about it, but I'm a little bit confused as to what on earth we are at. Reports suggest as well from James Pearce of The Athletic that Liverpool aren't going to be making that play for the young striker we spoke about, Stefanos Tsitsipas of Nuremberg, despite other reports saying the contrary. Genuinely just so much to try and figure out. So let me know where you want to start, because honestly I've got a lot to go through. So I guess the options are Zubimendi, Salah, or the left back situation. So you guys let me know which one of those you want to kick off with and we'll get stuck into it. And also there was somebody who said hello to me from Guatemala that I just want to say hello to as well. So bear with me, go back through it. Where's this gentleman? There you go, Daniel Sosa. How are you, my friend? Welcome in and welcome from Guatemala, bro. Right, Salah. Okay, I got you. No problem. Right, so the Mohamed Salah situation is an interesting one. I'm sure you've probably seen the post, right? And if you haven't seen the post, or you don't know who Mr. Turki Al Sheikh is, I'll do my best to explain it to you. So the post is pretty straightforward, really. It is just him in, I believe, an Al Hilal kit. And Mr. Turki Al Sheikh just kind of posted some emojis along with it. But it's who this guy is that makes it important in this conversation. Let me just grab my notes up here so I can get straight into this. 1 second. Where's this one gone? Okay. So, as Anfield Watch said, why are Saudi officials all of a sudden so confident of getting Mohamed Salah? The image was this image, and they have him in an Al Hilal shirt, was shared by the Saudi General Entertainment Authority honcho, Mr. Turki Al Sheikh. So a serious player in Saudi sports, mainly in boxing, to be honest with you. But why is he posting pictures of Salah in an Al Hilal shirt with a few emojis? I've got my own take on it, to be honest with you, and here's what I think is happening. And it's a guess, so please don't take this as gospel. I'm just trying to give you my take on how I see it. Remember the other day I said to you guys that I found it very coincidental that we'd seen all this stuff come out around Kvaratskhelia in Liverpool. All of a sudden, all the Liverpool journalists were being briefed to say that Liverpool were monitoring and keeping an eye on the Kvaratskhelia situation at Napoli. And then I said to you guys, this could be a play to light a rocket up Mohamed Salah and his agent's backside to show that they have options. And I'm wondering, is this the answer to that? Is this the so do we? Is this maybe Salah and his agent Rami Abbasisa putting it out there that they also have options? Because one thing that I feel comfortable in saying at the minute is, I think he's getting lowballed. And that's my feeling. Because the stuff that came out the other day from The Athletic to say that Hughes and Edwards, particularly Hughes, can only operate in the financial constraints given to him by the owner, almost seemed to be absolving him of some responsibility. So I'm feeling that Salah's getting lowballed, Verge is getting lowballed, and Trent is getting lowballed, and I think this is a PR battle. That's my take on it, hand on heart. I think this is a PR battle where one side is trying to stand their ground, the other side trying to vilify somebody. So this is my take on it for what it's worth, and it is just that, an opinion, because I don't know the inner workings of it, but I also don't really believe in coincidences, as I've said. Take no notice of reports myself, especially from these rags. Look, the person that posted about Salah in the Al Hilal shirt is no journalist, is no spoofer. He is the chairman of the Saudi Entertainment Authority, and somebody who was huge in the world of boxing, and somebody who was mentioned previously when asked by Mr. Arya Halwani on an interview on an MMA podcast about Salah going to Saudi. He said, I believe there was an offer, Liverpool rejected that offer, and that was maybe 6 months ago. So I'm concerned about this, because whether he goes to Saudi or not, it doesn't feel to me like we're closing in on a deal here anytime soon. And it does feel to me, if I'm being honest with you, that our owners are cheaping out, and they're trying to find a way to paint Salah into a corner and make it look like he was being greedy. That's hand on heart how I feel about it. How you guys feel about it, that's up to you, but that's my take on it for what it's worth. Corbin said, my head says surely FSG have a plan, one plan to sell, lack of spending. My heart is angry and frustrated with these owners. I'm just disgusted with them. And I'm going to read you out something now that is a year old, let me say that up front, but it was posted on a Red Sox fan forum, and I took the time to read this earlier on, and I want to just run it past you. And it says, FSG will not be spending any significant money on the Red Sox roster anytime soon, and here's why. And the reason was, John W. Henry has a plan, a development plan, that is, Fenway Corners real estate development project is the primary focus for the next decade for FSG and John W. Henry with regard to the Red Sox. They go on to speak about how they're not going to really be investing in player contracts while they utilise that money and allow the era of dominance, I believe from, who was it in this article they said had the era of dominance? The Dodgers. And that then in the 2030s, when it was all developed, they were going to try and make the Red Sox great again. Now this is coming from the Boston side. This is coming from Boston fans. This isn't me trying to have a little sly dig at John W. Henry. So, thoughts? Because I've said all the way through, these owners don't have the stomach to want to win for me. It's all about increasing the value of assets. Red Sox fans aren't very pleased about things at the minute. Liverpool fans aren't very pleased about things at the minute. And it looks like a club that's about to announce potentially record revenues of £700 million hasn't got the money or the will to go out and strengthen and buy players. You can read into that what you want, but again, I'm doubling down on it. They're cheap. They're despicable owners, in my opinion, with regards to spending in the transfer market. And it's not good enough, and it shouldn't be accepted. And now we're at a point where not only are we concerned about the transfers, of course, but now we're even more concerned that maybe they're just lowballing the boys on the contract offers. And maybe there never is an intention there to give them the deals or fair deals. Because you keep hearing the boys want to stay, at least for Virgil and Mohamed. But now we're seeing that, well, maybe the play is to lowball them, keep lowballing them, and let it go all the way through, and then they have to make a decision and they hope they compromise. I'm sick of them. I'm absolutely sick to death of them, but I wanted to see how you guys feel about it, and I wanted to read you out that little bit as well around what they're planning to do in Boston. Lucky Charm said, credit to Craig for calling out this this Bull FSG stuff. Look, I don't want to. Here's the thing, like, people just think I do this for an angle. I don't want to. But I'm also not swallowing what the journalists have been trying to tell us for many years, which is that the money is there and Liverpool and Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, whoever else are choosing not to spend it because the right players aren't available. It's bullshit. It's always been nonsense, and I've never believed it, and I'm never going to believe it, because they absolutely have the ability to spend money. They choose not to. And for me, they're putting stuff at risk at the club. They're putting legacy at risk. For the manager, for the players, they're putting trophies in the bin. And now we could see players just walk away because they're annoyed about the whole situation and they're getting lowballed. White Hammer said, the only achievement I can see is Craig making transfer windows entertainment, covering this comical club that only gets linked to everyone and the next day they aren't interested. Then just repeat over and over again. Well, I've got one for you, White Hammer. Now, stop me if this sounds familiar. But this came out a couple of hours ago. Florian Plettenberg said, stop me if you've heard this one before, Liverpool are keeping a close eye on the Martin Zubimendi situation. Monitoring FC, watching, looking. But at least that gives a bit of hope, right? Because there's been lots of stuff today that Zubimendi hasn't made up his mind on where he's going. In fact, there's been reports in Spain to suggest that he said no or said yes to nobody. And he hasn't given his word to Arsenal. And we'll go through those reports tonight as well. Bayern Munich are a club now that's said to be in for Martin Zubimendi. So I want to know what Ornstein has to say on that. And what Sami Mokbel has to say on that. The ones who are breaking the story is almost done the other day. You know, the journalists, the real ones, the proper ones. Not us little mere fan channels and gobshites. You know, the high and mighty. All this mess is unfair to players, unfair to fans, and it gives the media a feeding frenzy, said Paul. Who would you rather have other than FSG? I mean, you're literally going to ask me to start naming billionaires now. You know, it's not up to me to find an owner for the club. It's not my fucking job to go out there and survey billionaires around the world and find an owner. But all I can do is keep calling out the crap. So for me, look, let me give you a name off the top of my head. Let's say Steve Ballmer. There you go. There's a name off the top of my head. Have a little look up at him. And he seems to be very invested in the NBA team that he owns. And very invested in wanting to make them successful. Used to be part of Microsoft, I believe, as well. But that's just one name. But look, ultimately, I just don't know how anybody can defend these clowns anymore. I just don't know. Like, what are they doing to benefit fans that are defending them? I don't get it. It's a weird one for me. But look, I respect we all have differing opinions on it. But I just think the whole thing's embarrassing for them as owners. So, at Mick Rec said, Arsenal want Zubimendi. However, the player will not decide on his future until the summer. So I'm going to ask you a little quick question. So I'm just going to ask you, do you think Zubimendi is off to Arsenal? Because as I've said, there's been lots of conflicting reporting over the last 24 hours over this. And I want to know how everyone's feeling about it. Because I honestly don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. You know, you're being told one thing and then you see something else happening. There's been multiple accounts now in Spain to say that he hasn't made his mind up. Plettenberg saying that Bayern Munich are coming in as well. One here from Sport that said Zubimendi is said to be tired of the constant English rumours and is completely focused on Real Sociedad. One source said Zubimendi is not committed to anybody. And that's coming from a Spanish paper. Now there's one from Plettenberg, Florian Plettenberg, that says Bayern maintain an interest in Martin Zubimendi as long as Joshua Kimmich's future is uncertain. The Spaniard will be available in the summer through a €60 million release clause, non-negotiable for Real Sociedad. Several clubs such as Real Madrid, Barcelona and Liverpool are also interested, but the most concrete interest is from Arsenal. Now that's a long way from what we were told the other day about this move being basically wrapped up and that he was going to Arsenal. So people say they're sick of Zubimendi. I get that. But my point is, he's available and we were told he's the only one that Arne Slot was willing to bring in. And now when he's actually going to be available, we're sitting on our hands again. So that's my frustration with it. I'm just getting sick of all the names being linked and going away. Again, did we make any move for Kavisha Kvaratskhelia? No. Sat back again, although all the journalists were briefed that we were loving him, monitoring, big fans of his, but nothing happened. Danny LaRue said, I feel sorry for Arne. He has the chance to have such a good first season. Imagine what he could do with everyone backing him. I think we still have a great chance, mate. And I'm not trying to undermine our league title chances. You know my thoughts on them. I think we're in a good position. We definitely need to win this game against Brentford at the weekend now, though. It's starting to get a little bit tasty. Is there any guarantee Liverpool spend in the summer? If they don't, will supporters get together to kick them out? So why are we kicking the ball down to the summer already, Stevie boy? You know, we've got time now to act. I personally can't just sit here and let them sail through another window and, you know, put at risk the season. We're one injury to a defender away from catastrophe, in my opinion. And again, same with Ryan Gravenberch, an injury in that midfield, and I think we're up shit creek. So for me, mate, I can't just give them the benefit of the doubt and go, yeah, we'll be grand in the summer, because guess what? I don't believe they're going to do much in the summer either. Corbyn said, Liverpool are the kings of watching the situation. Watching, monitoring, but not doing much. But I have loads to go through tonight, so do stick with me, because there's lots and lots of news to go through. Let's change it up and talk left backs for a minute. Try to be a bit more positive. So, one report today said, breaking, Liverpool are planning to gazump rivals to sign Milos Kerkez. Liverpool, City and United have already started to make contact with the player's representatives, but it is understood he favours a move to Anfield over the Manchester clubs. That's one report today that Anfield Sector posted from at MSI Douglas. Then there was Sam Maguire who quote tweeted that to say that Milos Kerkez has recently changed agents, now represented by the same agency that represents Federico Chiesa. Then there was another piece from the same journalist that said, if a move for Kerkez does not materialise for whatever reason, Wolves' Rayan Aït-Nouri is thought to be next on Liverpool's hit list. Hughes, however, is understood to be prioritising another Kerkez swoop. Then there was a piece that says, Bournemouth have no plans to sell in January despite signing a left-back replacement in Julio Soler. There's no pressure to sell from their point of view. With offers in the region of £50 million is where they're understood to be willing to do business. David said, hi Craig, have to say, this club, I love them, but these owners are a joke. I've said it before and we say it again, not getting these contracts over the line will kill us and the situation is awful. I agree. But you know what really angers me, David, is that we keep getting told that it won't have an impact on anyone, that it won't get in their minds, that it isn't a distraction. Nobody believes that. Everybody believe that this is becoming a distraction. Now, let me just pitch something else to you now. Let's say Mohamed Salah goes through a couple of games where maybe he doesn't get on the score sheet. What do you think happens then? Then the narrative changes again in the whole situation with the contract saga, and you'll start to see stuff coming out to go, see, Liverpool may be right to hold off and give Mohamed Salah massive money because he hasn't scored in 4 weeks. So the whole thing is a joke, you're right. And I'm as frustrated by any of you on it, but I sit there every day before the stream and I think it's going to be another hard 90 minutes because I'm going to come on and have to be outspoken, and I don't like being. I'd rather come on and have a laugh with people. But we can't just keep letting this stuff go by, because like I keep saying, the more we excuse it, the more emboldened it become, and the bigger the manipulation. And I'm quite frankly just sick of it all with them. Aaron said, Craig, Aït-Nouri now or Kirkez in the summer. So I'm really easy with this stuff, bro. I just want it to be whoever the manager wants. I'm simple. Like, if a manager wants Kirkez, go get Kirkez. If the manager wants Aït-Nouri, go get Aït-Nouri. But here's the thing. The manager told him he wanted Zubimendi. Why isn't that done? Even if it's for next summer. Why isn't that done? There's no excuse in my mind that they don't go back in and get that deal done. None. Because we're not seeing any other midfielders come to the fore. We're not seeing offers going in on a different one. All we're seeing is that Liverpool no longer see this as a position that we need immediate strengthening in because of Gravenberch, which everybody knows is just bullshit. VI Joker said, how much can Arne Slot actually tolerate FSG if he doesn't start getting the support in the transfer market? Surely he can only tolerate so much. Again, I can't speak on behalf of Arne, but I don't think people are going to continue to bite their tongues over these owners, because Kloppo's left. He looks like a new man since he's left. Looks like he's 10 years younger again. I don't know, but nobody will ever convince me that our managers are happy with these owners. I know they have to say the right things publicly, but I'd love to know their genuine thoughts on them. Make Anfield great again. So Craig, journalism is dead and has been for years now. Sure, a few good left. There are definitely journalists with good intentions. 100%. You know, David Lynch is certainly one of them. I would, even though, you know, what happened, nothing but respect for the man. We disagree on stuff, but that's okay. But let me just say one thing on modern journalism. Again and again, I keep saying this. Journalism's pointless unless there's an ability to push back. You can't just report what people say and take it as gospel. Journalists need to push back, and they never do, in my opinion, especially around Liverpool Football Club. You never see anybody criticising or asking tough questions. Now, you might be told, well, they can't ask these questions. Well, if they can, then that should be publicised, that they're being told they can't ask certain things. Because the power has absolutely moved towards the clubs, the owners, and this is why they don't like the likes of fan channels, because they don't have a hold over us. I'm not saying we can do and say what we want. We still have to operate within the law. We still have to obviously speak without slandering people. But I can come on here and say I think John W. Henry and FSG are cheap, and I don't have to worry about what they think about me. Whereas if I'm a journalist and I write this stuff and I have credentials to go to Anfield or go to the press conferences, I'm quite sure that you're going to see less and less joy in that department. So it's not a healthy, balanced relationship in my opinion, and that's kind of always been my point. There needs to be people that speak out. There needs to be people that push back. And too many are just willing to take the money, take the access, sit back and have an easy life. I've never had an easy life. I've never wanted an easy life. And if I see bullshit, I'm calling it out. And if that offends the journalists, if that offends John W. Henry and FSG, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. My job here is to represent the fan base and speak my truth about what I think is happening at the club and try to hold them to account. And that's what I'm going to do. And I love knowing how much it winds them up. That there's not really a way of shutting us up unless our audience goes away. But somebody has to do it. Because what really riles me is that a lot of these that journalists nowadays that want you to pay for stuff. They want you to pay for basically what the club are telling them to tell you. And I don't understand it, because there's not an original thought amongst most of them. And certainly not an original angle. And yes, they have to report what they're briefed, but they can have the balls to call it out and say, nah, that's not good enough. Stephen Jackson, thank you, mate. Mike, thank you, appreciate you. What I was concerned about last night more than anything in that game, folks, was how fatigued Salah looked. Because, this has been a season where what he's done has been undeniable. He's had some breathers as well. He's had a couple of times where he hasn't been excuse me, he hasn't been called up to the Egyptian national team because of various different reasons. And we've had times where we've been able to give these guys sometimes a week between games to, play a second team in an FA Cup game and stuff like that. So the fatigue is what concerns me, because the happy clappers who say we're top of the league, what you worried about, surely they have to see that we're not getting peak performance levels all the time. And maybe you can't do that so much in the Premier League these days, but you can certainly do your best to balance it out a little bit by giving fresh legs and giving the manager options. And last night we seen the situation where Harvey Elliott and Federico Chiesa didn't get a sniff. So my question is, why are we carrying these players into squads if the manager doesn't trust them? That's not to say I don't think they're good enough or you don't think they're good enough. We don't make those decisions. But we're being told that we can't improve on things at times. We're being told that Liverpool look around the world for players and find it very difficult to find anyone that can improve what they have, but yet we don't play some of the ones we have. Particularly where last night, 10 to go. Salah looked a bit leggy. Wasn't his day, fair enough, no problem. Happens. Bring on Chiesa. Give him an opportunity to maybe grow a little bit of confidence, get himself a goal, be involved in another goal that will maybe, push him further into the fans' hearts and build his confidence up. I just don't understand it. We can't go through having 14 or 15 players that the manager trusts and carry 20, 21, 22 in a squad. That's pointless. Stephen Jackson said, Craig, do you think the contract issues may be down to a lack of investment? So they're waiting to see if we do invest first. It's certainly possible, of course. And it would be within any player's rights to want to know what direction the club might be going in next. But we can only speculate, mate, because we're not inside these conversations, Stephen. So I don't know, but certainly it would be part of it, I'm sure. So, okay, I'm happy to go through it for you because, you remembered us for 11 months, bro. I appreciate you. So I'll go back through it for you. I've already covered it, but let me just get my notes back up. So, actually, hang on 1 second. I'm trying to see if I can drag. So, yeah. Right, okay, bear with me 1 second. So, I'm not sure if everybody knows who Mr. Turki Al-Sheikh is, but he's the chairman of the Saudi General Entertainment Authority, who are responsible for a lot of huge events sporting-wise over in Saudi Arabia, football, snooker, all that kind of stuff. Boxing, more boxing and snooker, that kind of stuff. But he posted a picture of Mohamed Salah in an Al Hilal shirt with a couple of little emojis underneath it. And we're just all trying to figure out why that's all of a sudden come out of nowhere and being posted. And he's a very influential, powerful man. I'm not just talking about social media followers, which he has 15 million on this particular platform, but I mean, in general, very powerful man in the world of sport. And if he's posting this, why? And that's what we're trying to figure out. Because the only other time I've seen Mr. Turki Al-Sheikh speak about this stuff is when he was asked by Ariel Helwani on a podcast. It must be a year ago, 6 months ago, maybe sometime in between there. And he said that Liverpool refused an offer for Salah, but he did believe that the desire was there to bring Salah over and that Salah would have taken the move. And now we see this posted today without real context. Why? But it's worrying to me as a Liverpool fan because, one part of my brain thinks is something happening. Another part of my brain thinks this is just a pushback from Liverpool's interest in Kavicha Kvaratskhelia being made public by the club. Or at least, I see, it has to have been made public by the club because I don't believe for 1 second that the journalists all got this information at the same time coincidentally. Because Joyce, David Lynch and many others all posted about it and all of a sudden had sources at the club that were telling them about monitoring of this situation. I thought at the time that was the club basically pushing the ball back into Mohamed Salah and Rami Abbasissa's court to say, we've got options. And maybe this is their way of saying, so do we. I don't know. But again, I don't believe in coincidences. David Massett said, I'm worried if Darwin goes in this window, we'll spend the money on no new signings. I'm more concerned that if we do have to make a signing in this window, that we have to sell before we do it. That's the part that concerns me the most, David. I've always even denied these allegations by some fans that we're a sell-to-buy club. That's how much I've tried to give some credit. But now it just feels like that's what they're turning us into. And when I read that article about FSG and over in Boston and them not going to really invest in the Red Sox roster over the next decade or so while they build out this entertainment complex and venue that will then finance them into the 2030s onwards after the Dodgers era of dominance, that worries me as well. Because that's where his heart is. And they're not investing in that roster according to the pieces that have been doing the rounds. Now, look, I don't fully understand baseball. I've said this many times. But I know an unhappy fan base when I see one. I had a tour of Anfield. They told us Sky can ask any questions as they pay more for a seat. And others get told what they can ask about. Utter joke. In what world is it healthy for anybody to be told what they can and can't ask? From a journalist standpoint. Obviously, you can't ask personal stuff to these people. You can't be asking, how many times a week do you do it with your missus? You can't be asking them questions. But anything that's pertinent to the club, to their careers, shouldn't be off limits. But the club flex the power in these situations because they have it. That needs to change. Because transparency shouldn't be a dirty word in football. But I tell you what is a word. Manipulation. That word doesn't get spoken about enough. Getting pegged back in the title race but being told, given out about underperforming team is toxic. Yeah, I know, Monkstown Glass. I know. It's embarrassing. But here we are. We are halfway through a transfer window. Still no breakthrough on the contract negotiations. The only good bit of news I guess I can give tonight is that Real Madrid have given up on Trent in January. They feel like there's no point in January. Liverpool aren't going to entertain it. So, whether he goes in the summer or not, I don't know. But at least they look like they've given up in January. Danny Murphy has been speaking about Liverpool and their obvious Mohamed Salah replacement. So this comes out and said, Danny Murphy believes that Real Madrid and Brazil forward Rodrigo is the obvious replacement for Mohamed Salah should the Egyptian leave the club this summer. Murphy speaking said, if Liverpool wanted one player to replace Mohamed Salah, the obvious choice for me would be Rodrigo from Real Madrid. I think he's a wonderful talent. I don't know what his contract situation is in Madrid, but I think of him because seeing him play at the highest level, winning Champions League in the last couple of years. What I think Danny Murphy probably knows deep down is, the fuck are Liverpool going to spend that much money to go and sign Rodrigo from Real Madrid? Come on now. That's not what Liverpool do. They don't go out there and sign players like that. They just don't. He'd be way too expensive. And we know our owners don't pony up that kind of dough. So it ain't going to happen. Adam said, I don't understand how we don't have money to spend. We offered 100 or so million for Caicedo. Didn't go through. We never spent half the money after that. And we saved a load of wage in the summer. Don't forget that, Adam, on the wages. And nobody's got extension since. Like, I could sit here and go through an hour telling you why FSG are cheap. But I think you know it at this point. I don't think I need to be doing the convincing anymore. And just to go back on the money there, Adam, again, as this posted earlier on from Football Insider, Liverpool's revenue for this season is expected to be a record-breaking one, with estimates of around £700 million. We also have no PSR financial rule concerns on what we can spend. And we're one of the few clubs that can say that we have no constraints with PSR. And for me, I think if you're in that position where you have the ability to strike and the ability to spend money that others at the moment can't, why aren't you maximising on that? Why aren't you using your position of strength to leverage these players and get them in and build for 2, 3, 4 league titles in a row? Build so that Manchester City can't get back up or Arsenal can't find their way to a league title. Why are we sitting here? Do nothing other than hoping we stumble over the line for the league title. It's embarrassing for the owners. Jordan said FSG are all smoke and mirrors. Just the bullshit artists, mate, is what I would say. Because they've got away with it for way too long. They've lived off the good stuff that they've done that only benefits them as well. Ask yourself, when has there been one action from these owners that hasn't increased the value of the club? Genuinely. Everything they do is just to increase their asset value. End of conversation. Alisson, Van Dijk paid for by the Coutinho money. Yes, Darwin, I'll give them that one. That was a big outlay. But ultimately, we've been middle of the road spenders, but looking for top of the table results. I guess it seems useless to hope Spurs win. So on this, right, I get that we have to keep an eye on Arsenal, Spurs and these games. But we shouldn't be hoping that we have to rely on others dropping points to go and win the league. Because I'm going to be really honest, there's not a lot of great teams in the league this season. And we are by far and away the best team, in my opinion. You know, bias or not, I think we're by far and away the best team. So why not build on this strength? And why not make sure that you not just win a league title, but it's won by March, April. And then you can focus on hopefully the latter part of an FA Cup run or a Champions League run without players being absolutely run into the ground. It's like the substitutes. I don't understand this idea of starting slow and then having a mad last 30. Go win the fucking game. Start 100 miles an hour. Win the game and then get your players off and rest them up. FSG don't care for trophies. They want top 4, in my opinion. So I promised myself I was going to do one poll tonight that has nothing to do with football, and I hope you can humour me for a few minutes because I want to lighten the mood for a few minutes. So the question I asked earlier on was, do you think Zubimendi's off to Arsenal? 54% say yes, 46% say no. Thank you. I'm going to put up a poll now that we were discussing in Discord earlier on. And just to lighten it up for a minute, bear with me. Right, this could be a very Irish question, by the way, but what order do you eat crisps and chocolate? I need to know what I'm dealing with here, folks. So what order do you eat crisps and chocolate? Do you eat chocolate first? Or do you eat crisps first? I need to know what I'm dealing with. I need to know if you're sociopaths or if you're rational people. So which one goes first? Now, if anybody's tuning in and they're like, I don't get this combo, sorry, it might be a very Irish thing, I don't know. But it's important to me. I need to know the answer to this one. No, don't be giving me it depends on the mood. There's a right and a wrong answer here, and we're going to find out what camp you're in. So don't be sitting on the fence giving me this, oh, Craigie, it depends what mood I'm in. Nah, you're not getting away with that one. I need an answer. Come on. David. So Brentford is a must-win on Saturday. That's no easy game. It definitely isn't an easy game. And it 100% is a must-win, especially because Arsenal kick off at 5:30 then against Villa. LV, crisps or savoury, chocolate dessert, crisps first. Wrong. Wrong. Well, I tell you why you're wrong. Because the chocolate coats your mouth. So you get the chocolatey, crispy num-num. And also, crisps are a far stronger flavour. And you don't want the stronger flavour first, because that's going to overpower the chocolate and the second part. So the correct answer is you eat the chocolate first, then you eat the stronger flavoured crisps secondly, and also, as a bonus reason, if you're a little bit full from the chocolate, the crisps are a little bit lighter. So easier to, squeeze in there if you need to squeeze in. So, correct answer is definitely, in my humble opinion, chocolate first, crisp second. Drink water in between. Get out of my chat, Tanya. That's a disgrace. How bloody dare you? For starters, it should be Coke. Can't be drinking in between. That ruins the whole effect. Do you know? And if you go in as well, you're sitting at home, you've got a big bag of crisps, lash in a bag of salted peanuts and some M&Ms or some Maltesers into the bag, shake it all up and thank me later. But the hard-hitting questions here at Anfield Agenda. This is what the world needs to discuss. Never mind 700 million turnovers and are we getting a left back. I need to know if you lads are lunatics or not. Dry roasted peanuts. Oh, minstrels are epic as well, by the way. I'm loving your chocolate shouts. Minstrels are amazing, so well in on that. I only eat ready salted. Oh my god. I don't want to say you're definitely a lunatic, my friend. I'm joking. Lots of love. Ready salted for me should be thrown in the bin. They're not even an acceptable flavour. Yeah, they're not even a real flavour. Ready salted are for people who just don't want to try. You've given up, basically, is what I see there, my friend. Right, so I'm about to ban a load of people who are lying about the score. I hope it was worth it for a game that I'm not that arsed about. I'm not somebody that wants to be relying on other teams' results, by the way. So, if it's 2-2, 3-2, whatever, don't care. We should be winning our games. We need to win the league title because we're better, not because we're relying. So if you're coming into shithouse on scores, I mean, what a pointless thing to get banned over. Oh my god, 68% of you lunatics are picking crisps first. You might have my biggest ever rant on the channel coming up. Lunatics. Cheese and onion walkers are class. George. They don't even know what colour the bag should be, bro. Nobody has blue cheese and onion. Only Gary Lineker FC there have blue cheese and onion. That's this. Blue is salt and vinegar. Everybody knows blue is salt and vinegar. Only Walkers with their greasy, we're not quite Tato. Now, come on now. I sent Danny over a little care package of loads of different Irish crisps for him to try because he said he'd never tried Tato. So we put together a box with Tato, Keogh's, O'Donnell's, and Hunky Dory's, and a few little other things like Banshee Bones and that, and sent it over to him. Because Danny takes his crisp game, Danny from our Discord takes his crisp game very seriously as well. Right, anyway, thank you for humouring me on that one. It's nice to know that you guys are absolute lunatics eating crisps first. You're all dead to me. Right, thank you for humouring me. I just wanted to lighten it up for a few minutes because, you know, we're all getting a little bit stressed about transfers and whatnot. Scampi fries. That's banned stuff right there, lads. Scampi fries should be illegal. Scampi fries are the broccoli of the snack world. That's what they are, mate. I'm just telling it like it is. Anybody that's going up to a bar or a shop and ordering scampi fries, the phone should be taken off them and thrown in the bin immediately, because heaven knows what sites they're accessing. They're out there eating scampi fries publicly. I had one scampi fry as a child and I'm still scarred to this day. I accidentally picked it up in my mother's bag, thought she was having bacon fries, accidentally had a scampi fry, and I can still taste it now. That's genuinely, who wants a fishy bite, like a little savoury fishy nonsense? Come on now. Pork scratchings, there's an answer, Dave. You good man. Full on heart attack. Don't even need to leave the pub. Sitting there, guzzling it, lashing down the pork scratchings, sweat rolling down the side of your face. Not a shit given. I love it. Well played. Right, anyway, let's get back to the football news. So, Liverpool have apparently been preparing an offer to sign Patrick Dorgu from Lecce, who is a left back, 20 years of age, and plays for Denmark as an international. Absolute unit of a footballer as well. And when I seen this one, I thought, this one's interesting because, as I said, he's only 20 years of age, 1.85 metres tall, looks to be very strongly built as well. And I think this one I could understand for a few reasons. Obviously, we know Richard Hughes has a great knowledge and in-depth scout network in Italy. So if he's playing with Lecce, I've more seen him playing for the Danish national team, to be honest, in my memory. But it's an interesting link. And they say 40 million euro would be the price tag that Lecce would want for him, which is about, I think, 34 million pounds, something like that. Barbecue McCoys are top. Oh, I'll give you McCoys, mate. McCoys are awesome. Flame grilled steak, though. Oh, there was once, I had one that was, what was it? Sizzling pork or something like that once upon a time. They were amazing, David. Absolutely amazing. Lost all faith with the club in terms of recruitment, said Andre Nielsen. So let me just ask a different question then. Will we make a signing this window? Yes or no? For what it's worth, I think yes. I don't know if it'll be one in, one out, but I do feel we'll get something done later in the window. Not anything I know about, just intuition. Top 5 biscuits. Hobnobs and the rest are irrelevant is the answer for me there, my man. Hobnobs and then I don't care after that. Chocolate hobnobs, sorry. And the rest are irrelevant. Unless maybe I don't mind those little fruity things with the raisin in them. I don't mind them. They're not bad either. But chocolate hobnobs are the way to go. Craig, you said that last time. Again, Russell, I'm not saying I know there's a signing. Listen to me, bro. I'm saying I'm guessing we'll get one. But if I'm wrong on that, it's a guess, like I've said. Am I not allowed to have an opinion, Russell, unless it matches yours or something? Craig, you said that last time, right? Did we make a signing in the summer? Did we not get Federico Chiesa? Did I miss that one? Also, there was another little interesting bit of news that came out today around potential loans. Liverpool youngsters Jayden Danns and James McConnell could head out on loan in January, according to The Athletic. That's an interesting one, particularly on Jayden Danns, because I think either way I could understand it. You know, if you lost Darwin and promoted Danns up to 6th forward or into the 6th rotation, I'd understand that as well. I'd also understand if Arne Slot maybe felt like he now thinks he can utilise Chiesa because Chiesa's not building up fitness, and that gives him 5 and Danns goes out on loan. Selfishly, I'd probably like to keep him at the club for the remainder of the season if we lost the forward, but I can understand the rationale of a loan as well, because he needs to get minutes. He missed the first half of the season, or a good chunk of the first half of the season, had no pre-season, so I could understand that side of it as well. It just has to be the right loan if he does go on loan. Somewhere where he's going to play and hopefully going to score. It's not whether there is a signing or not, it's what type of signing it is. The usual cheapest chips kids. Well, that's what I'm getting worried about, Alec. And look, it's a fair point, mate, that you've raised. When I start to see reports that Liverpool are looking for 75 million for Darwin and are looking to spend it on a 19-year-old kid for 25 million, you get concerned. But James Pearce has said that he doesn't think that Liverpool are in for that young forward. Let me just get this up here so I can read it out to you. By the way, we're now getting trolled as a club by PC World. Or Curry's, sorry. Sorry, I'm just going through my notes here. So James Pearce doesn't believe Liverpool are interested, or sorry, are actively trying to sign. I want to be fair to James, actively trying to sign that youngster, Simas, which, you know, it was a weird one to begin with. I mean, let's be honest, it kind of, you know, a 19-year-old young lad on loan in Bundesliga 2, and look, clubs have been interested in him and being linked to move from Bayern Munich and a few others, but it wouldn't really help us now, and that's why I was a little bit confused by the idea of it. You know, you've got a 19-year-old striker at the club, and he's full of confidence. There's a report here that said Liverpool have a growing problem at left back. Andy Robertson's form continues to flatline, and Arne Slot knows that Costas isn't the long-term answer and is just not good enough. And that's coming in from the Daily Mirror. Again, I agree, but still doesn't talk about a solution. Oh, here it is, yeah. Liverpool have no interest in pursuing a deal for Stefanos Tsimas, according to James Pearce of The Athletic. So, why don't we all just admit something here? All of us, including the journalists. Everyone knows nothing. Can we just admit that? I know everybody has to get a living and everyone has to pretend like, you know, sources close to the club, blah, blah, blah. I know, but that's what they want you to know. Let's just be honest here. Nobody has a Scooby-Doo. Nobody. Anybody only ever knows what the club wants them to, or you get a leak from the other side, which is usually not the English-based journalists. Usually it's the European-based journalists from that side of the deal. So can we all just be adult about this and admit that everybody's spoofing a living in the journalist world with regards to transfers? Let's just be honest about it. Because not for 1 second do I think accidentally everybody was talking about Kavica Kvaratskhelia the other day. And the reason I don't think that is I spoke with a journalist 2 hours beforehand. Asked flat out, do we have any names on the tip of our tongue or anything being talked about? Nope. A few hours later though, like clockwork, all of them talking about it. All of them saying sources at the club have told, or Liverpool have a fondness for this guy and are keeping an eye on him. They again, we all just be taken for idiots. All of us. Like, they just think we're gobshites and can't see through spoofing when we see it. And I get they have to play the game. I get it. You have to. You have to tickle John's balls a little bit, or no seat at the top table. I understand it. But you do have an option. And I would say, from the bottom of my heart right now, if I could actually write an article, I think there'd be a huge gap in the market now for somebody with balls to start writing about Liverpool. I'm an idiot, and in no way qualified or capable to do that side of things. But if one of these journalists actually broke away, sacrificed the ability to go in there and really have to, be a yes man, and sat back and wrote about the club from a perspective of honesty and bluntness, I'd pay for it. I'd pay for it sincerely. I'd pay for it. And I think a lot of other people would as well, because all we have now is a collection of people who I'm sure have good intention, I'm sure are good men and women, but are ultimately only at the behest of the club and what they tell them, and they have to play along. And, you can argue with me about that back and forth, and journalists can jump up and down about it as much as they want, but they know I'm right, you know I'm right, and that's why we exist. That's why fan content exists, because we have the freedom to say it from the heart. I say it over and over again. Nobody gave any of us our platforms. We built them through relationships with our audience. Like, what I think a lot of these guys don't understand is, I see all of you guys as mates, and we chat and we interact. And yes, some stuff's going to be said that's a little close to the bone occasionally, but ultimately we're all just having a chat and trying to figure it out. So, to any journalist out there that maybe isn't attached to a newspaper at this point, or, is struggling to maybe find an angle or a USP for themselves, I think there's a gap there for somebody to actually come and tell it like it is and start calling this shit out. Because here's what will happen. You're going to be undermined. That's going to happen. You're going to be belittled. You're going to be shunned. You're going to be called not a serious person. But ultimately, who gives a fuck? Because I don't seek the approval of the journalists, because I don't need it. If they're not willing to speak from the heart, I will. And I know they don't like being called out about it, but tough shit. The rules of engagement have changed. The old way's gone. You don't get to sit on your throne and think you're above the rest of us. I know your egos want that to be the case, but unfortunately it's just not true anymore. Dave said, how are you doing? Any update for the 3 contracts? No, but I'm really worried about that Salah post earlier on. I'm sorry, it wasn't a post by Mohamed Salah. The post by Turkey Al Sheikh. That has me very concerned, because whenever you hear of Saudi interest, you never have to ask, do they have the money? So we know that side of it, we always know the money's there. But there will come a time, I think, where Mohamed Salah will eventually feel disrespected by the club. The longer this drags on, the longer he's not getting what he'd like. And look, nobody's saying Mohamed Salah has to get exactly what he wants, but we must be quite a way away here if this is still dragging along and there's no compromise or getting to the point of it getting done. And again, like I said earlier on, I just get the feeling that this is just a reminder to the club that they have options as well, Salah and his agent. But the whole thing, again, just feels like we're undermining ourselves. And who benefits from this? Because, yeah, FSG might save some money, but at what expense? Because nobody's going to convince me that there isn't a little bit of frustration in that dressing room at the minute. You can see it on the pitch. You can see them starting to maybe have a little snidey word or two with each other over instances where they don't think they're pulling their weight. You can see players saying that the contract situation's in their head despite us being told they aren't. Nobody's saying they aren't professional. Of course they are. Everybody knows they're professional, but they're also human. And they want to know what's happening for their families and their future and their kids' schooling and all the other stuff that goes along with maybe having to uproot your family and move. So get it done and stop giving an opportunity for a destabilisation to take impact on the team in the middle of a fucking season where we're top of the league. To save a few quid. You've already saved a few quid in the summer. So why are we still trying to cheap out It's honestly embarrassing. It's so embarrassing that, as I mentioned earlier on, we've got Currys, the electrical retailer, saying, your laptop's working okay over there at LFC. We can help if needed. We're being trolled. If it wasn't by Klarna, now it's Currys. And we're supposed to just sit back and think, oh, everything's great, and not be annoyed about this? That everybody can see the club is cheap? Even fucking electrical retailers are calling the club out for their cheapness and their lack of activity? Why do you think Elliott or Chiesa were not brought on last night? The only thing I can take from it is that the manager didn't think they were going to make an impact. I don't see how else we can interpret it. So that I guess that's my answer, mate. Arne Slot obviously doesn't feel that they were the right fit for that game, that moment, despite the fact that we needed to get a winner. And, you know, Salah was looking a little bit off colour yesterday, wasn't quite himself. Okay, it happens, no problem. But give Chiesa 15 at the end. And this is where I get really wound up, right? Because if in any way you agree with me that he obviously didn't trust or think that they can come on and do a job, why are they on the bench? Why are they at the club? This isn't me saying they're not good enough. This isn't Craig, the Liverpool fan, saying get Harvey Elliott and Federico Chiesa out. I'm asking a sincere question. If the manager doesn't feel that they can come on and make a difference, why are they at the club? Why are we carrying people on the bench, taking up squad places and paying out money if the manager isn't going to turn to them when we need them? Genuine question. I can't figure it out. But I know I'm fed up being told we've got no money and we can't improve on the squad when what we're seeing in front of our eyes doesn't tally with that. And I will move on to speak about the left back, JD, in a minute, mate. Don't worry. I've already spoken about it a little bit earlier on. VI Jokers said FSG getting like Mike Ashley when he was in charge at Newcastle, stingy when it comes to signing anyone. Yep, and wanting Hollywood prices when it comes to selling them. And look, I'm all for us getting Hollywood prices. I'm all for Michael Edwards rinsing every cent out of every player we sell. Brilliant. But I don't want us to have to sell to actually go out and make a signing. If you think Mo and VVD are seriously considering Saudi, you are lost. I don't believe Phoenix I've ever once ever said anything about Virgil van Dijk in Saudi Arabia. I don't think I've ever uttered those words out of my mouth. But answer me this. Why is the chairman of the Saudi Entertainment Authority posting a picture of Mohamed Salah in an Al Hilal kit? Answer me that. Especially somebody who isn't really involved in the football world side of things too much over in Saudi. He's more of a boxing man. Why is that? Is it because everything's great at our club and these contracts are about to get signed and we're all great? Propaganda. And you don't think that there's propaganda from our club? You don't think that the leak about Kvaratskhelia was perhaps a little bit of propaganda to show that the club have options in that regard? Propaganda isn't just a one-way street, mate. But what I keep saying is, at some point, the man who speaks about respect and what it means to him, quite a lot, is going to start feeling disrespected and unloved. And that's where I've got concerns. That Mohamed Salah eventually just says, you know what? I've done what I can. I've put my cards on the table. But they're not matching where I see myself. And that's an issue. It's an issue for a couple of reasons. One, we lose him for nothing. Two, I don't trust these owners to spend the money to get an adequate replacement. And three, it's entirely avoidable. The issue with a free is that we sell to spend big. I'm not really a massive fan of free transfers unless you're just... Unless it is a genuine player you've always liked. Like the Jonathan David situation. There's no bone in my body that doesn't think if we move for him, it wouldn't only be because he was on a free. Turkey probably has more money than LFC full wallet. I've no idea, but again, I'm going to ask, why randomly out of nowhere does he post that? You can only assume that he's either trying to start the ball rolling, or maybe he's been given encouragement by Mohamed Salah's side of it, or maybe it's Salah and his agent, again, trying to just kick the ball back to the club and go, they're going to pay me. Who's starting right back and left back for next season? Said Stevie Boy. Connor Bradley at right back, because my mind still thinks Trent's going to go, although I hope he stays. I want him to stay, but I think he'll go. And left back, I'd say Kirkes because of the Hughes link to Bournemouth and him having been part of the transaction to bring him in. Yeah, so Kirkes and Bradley is my guess. People are saying Arsenal or Spurs hit the post. Ouch. Look, again, whatever happens there, fair enough, but we need to look after our own results and make sure that we go get wins. Because I tell you what, I watched that first half of that Arsenal game tonight, and they're not great. And they don't really worry me. They're very blunt in attack. I think they're getting away with a bit as well. So I'm not that concerned about them, but I'm concerned about us. And, you know, a little wobble. Yeah. Dave, sorry mate, did I miss your super chat? Apologies, my friend. How you doing? Any update in the 3 contracts? I swear I did that one, Dave. No, nothing except for the Salah stuff that I said, mate, earlier on. It's all over. Arsenal won 2-1, so thank you to everybody on that one. Look, I expected them to win that game and all. They're a better team than Spurs, so not really surprised at that one. But look, we need to focus on us. You know, Arsenal are 4 points behind, but we have a game in hand. So again, it's on us to continue to pick up points. They've now closed in a little bit. They've closed in on 2 points, obviously with us drawing with Forest. Chelsea drew this weekend, or this midweek, excuse me. City as well. So it's kind of a little bonus there for Arsenal. You know, they've done their part of it, but we just need to look after us. You know, ultimately we just need to keep winning. And I'm more concerned about why we didn't finish off that game last night and how we let it go for 60 minutes before we even got into the game properly. You know, I'd rather we figure out this than be reliant upon others to drop points. Look, if they do drop points, great. You know, you'll take it, of course, but it needs to be us that wins this league title, that goes and grabs it. And do you know what else is so cute? Them trying to sing the LA LA song. Oh, bless. So cute, isn't it? Have you heard them trying to sing it? They can't sing the line about we conquered all of Europe, though, because, you know, they've conquered fuck all. So they can't be singing that line, but, you know, oh, bless them. TT Tiger said, Craig, why is it always Liverpool are monitoring instead of getting our players? Because that distracts people, that's why. Because you get the oak and you think, ooh, we're monitoring. Are we going to make a move? A day goes by, 3 days goes by, a week goes by, and then you're in the last few days of the transfer window wondering, how did we get here? And are we going to do anything? Do you know what I don't understand? Why everything's left to the end of a window. A lot of the time with clubs. Not just our club, by the way, in general. Because if you want somebody, you should be going out there, start of the window, early doors, and getting that person. Because how many games get played in January alone? 6, 7? You know, that why wait till the end of that? If you need improving, get it done as quickly as possible. And you've had months to line it up. Can we have an update on the Zubimendi news? Absolutely, no problem. So, a couple of different bits and pieces around Zubimendi today. This piece here that Transfer Sector posted crediting at Mick Rec said, Arsenal want Zubimendi, however, the player will not decide on his future until the summer. Then there was another piece here that said from Sport, a Spanish publication, Martin Zubimendi is said to be tired of the constant English rumours and is completely focused on Real Sociedad right now. One source said Zubimendi has not committed to anyone. So, as of right now, I don't know what's going on with Zubimendi. I don't know if Arsenal have won that race. If there is a race, I don't know. So yeah, that's pretty much the latest on Zubimendi, is that there's doubts over the reports from Sami Mokbel and David Ornstein that that deal was looking very likely to happen. But again, it's not to say it won't happen. It's not to say that their information's wrong. It's just to say that there's contrasting information out there about his future. Craig, say we drop the league, who takes the blame? Is that a serious question? The owners? Richard Hughes? Edwards? Anybody that didn't give the manager the squad takes the blame. I said this last night and I'll say it again. Why are we sending a head coach out to answer questions that he hasn't got the authority to answer? And I'm saying this defensively for Arne Slot, because it was made very clear to all of us he was coming in as a head coach, not as a manager. Wouldn't be overseeing the transfer contracts and all that kind of stuff. So why is he being wheeled out to deal with it? Why is Richard Hughes hiding away? Grow a pair. Sit in front of the camera, take the pressure off the damn manager and do your fucking job. Or don't. And go. But either way, I feel like it's really unfair on Arne. Because, you know, all this, it's not a distraction, is a bit hard to swallow when it's every question he's getting asked. Arsenal celebrating this like they've won the league. Look, it's a derby. You know, I'm not going to knock Arsenal fans for celebrating winning a derby. It's a derby. Fair play. They won the game. Let them celebrate it. You know, yeah, let them. I don't see anything wrong with Arsenal celebrating after winning a derby. But as I keep saying, it's our job to take care of our games and make sure that they don't gain confidence and momentum. And we need to do that by making sure that we win at Brentford at the weekend and then put the pressure on them for the Villa game. Craig, is it true that Real Madrid have given up on Trent? No. What I think you're speaking about, Dave, is they've given up on signing him this month, which has been reported. But no, they haven't given up altogether on signing him. They just know that Liverpool won't sell him this month. So, you know, that much I think I can say, yes, I've seen reported. Rain said, do you think Slot even really wanted Chiesa? I mean, I don't think I can answer that question, Rain, because truly, I don't know, mate. All I can say is he doesn't look like he wants to use him. You know, that I can talk about, but I can't speculate as to whether Arne Slot wanted to sign him or not. I think these are using the US model of getting rid of a player 1 year early rather than late. It's what American owners do. So now that people are coming in, I want to read out the entirety of this piece that was written by a Red Sox publication. It is a year old, but I think it gives good insight into maybe what we're dealing with. So bear with me as I read this out. So it says, FSG will not be spending any significant money on the Red Sox roster anytime soon. Here's why. John Henry has a plan, a development plan. The Fenway Corners real estate development project is his primary focus for the next decade. I know this sub, as in the account, has scrutinised the topic in the past, but I think now is a good time to revisit it because Fenway Corners has had another approval, this time to absorb 96 to 98 Brookline Avenue. Goes on to speak about the size of the plot being 2.1 million square feet. The whole project is going to take around a decade to finish and will cost well over $1.5 billion. They want Fenway to become a year-round mecca of high-end and luxury city living. This is John W. Henry's magnum opus. In order to achieve this dream of his, he needs the Red Sox to remain just relevant enough without shelling out money on the roster like the Dodgers, who, by the way, are set up right now to become the dynasty of the 2020s. So instead, Henry is putting all of his focus into a mega development which will set FSG up for lifetimes worth of auxiliary cash flow. My expectation, the author, is that this construction is nearing completion in the early 2030s. Around the same time the Dodgers dynasty is crumbling, FSG will then shift gears into making the Red Sox the most competitive team in the league because they once again have the buildings completed. They will need to fill them with workers, residents, tourists and fans. And that, my friends, is their own city. And that's a Red Sox publication that wrote that. So they're happy to not have the team competitive, according to this fan, while he builds up infrastructure that will make FSG more money and then make them competitive because they have to fill the extra seats, apartments and venues. You know, we're not imagining this shit. And that's the club they love in their home city. So what hope have we got? Arsenal creeping up. Not really, mate. They've gathered 2 points off us. You know, 2 points. They'll draw again soon, don't worry. We just need to make sure we win. 4 points is really 7 points if we win the game in hand. So, you know, don't be overly stressing about it, but we do need to win against Brentford. Arsehole? Waste of money? Failure? Frustration? The most annoying thing about the whole Balotelli incident is we didn't even get the good stuff, like the fireworks in the bathroom or anything like. So yeah, don't really have too many positives to say about Mr. Zubimendi. What's this one? Oh, by the way, I've invented a new stat. So statisticians, listen up. You've got your XGs and all this other stuff. Well, late night in the Discord last night, we invented a new stat. XT, expected transfers, of which Liverpool operate at 0.00 under FSG. So there you go, statisticians out there. You're welcome. XT, expected transfers. The answer for Liverpool is fuck all. So Arsenal won that game tonight 2-1 with an XG of 0.33. So to me, they're getting lucky. And we haven't had some recently. Because we've had, as Graham Kelly said there, we've had keepers growing extra arms and having the games of their life. And we're not finding a way through. So I do agree that we're doing the right things sometimes too late in a game, but I do think I do agree there that, you know, Arsenal are riding their luck a little bit, and the underlying numbers, to me, I think they're going to fall away. I do. Red Sox signed Walker Buehler on a 1-year deal worth 20. FSG has no money. So I don't think anybody's ever said FSG has no money, Edwin. And I don't know if that was a dig aimed at me because I don't understand baseball, as you said, mate. But I've never once said they don't have any money. Never, ever. I just said they won't spend it. And I've been at pains to say that. Liverpool have so much wiggle room, as we went through earlier on with regards to getting in trouble with the Premier League for spending. You know, we've no issues there. Also, keep up the good work. Watch you every night. Thank you, Cameron. Appreciate your support, my man. Kevin said, wow, Craig, did you see the Arsenal goal? Wasn't a corner. Absolute joke. London clubs have favouritism with the ref, but still going to win the league. I did see it. I watched the first half. You know, you can look at it one of two ways and say, yeah, they got lucky with the corner, but you still have to score the goal and Spurs still have to concede it. I do wonder, though, with these things, like, why the technology doesn't help out the referees. If the refs made a mistake on something, how quick or how long would it take for VAR, let's say, to get in the rear and go, nope, that's a goal kick? I know that the current rules, the way they're written, doesn't allow it. But if we really want the game to be at a point where the right decisions are made, these are the type of things that could be helped out with. But, you know, again, it happens in football, of course. You know, it happens a lot of the time. You see goal kicks given instead of corners and vice versa. But my gripe with this is all technology's there to stop this stuff. If you really want the right decisions made in football, then use it. But, you know, it is what it is as well. Spurs had a chance to defend the corner. They didn't. And Arsenal scored, so... my mind has always said FSG are milking Liverpool to finance their baseball projects. It's sickening, said Mark. I have no idea, mate. I've no idea of the correlation between the two. But I do know that they're not doing their best for Liverpool. And anybody that says they are, I will argue with them till I'm blue in the face about it. Timothy said, Craig, you played football for a decent level. Who'd you play with? Bellevue, Shankill, St Joseph's Boys and Sallynoggin and Bushy Park Rangers. As well as representing underage levels at different schooling lengths as well. So, but yeah, the clubs I played for: Bellevue, Shankill, St Joseph's Boys, Sallynoggin, Bushy Park Rangers. Not a dig at you, just to a point that they can spend money. But Edwin, I've never said they couldn't, mate. I've said they don't. You know, I know FSG have the ability to spend money and access it, no doubt about that. But they don't. And I don't really even understand if that's a good or a bad thing there for a baseball contract for a year. I've no idea if that's huge money, small money. But a 1-year deal doesn't sound great on the from the outside, you know. Grim Reaper said, when you have owners dictating journalists and using intimidation tactics to stop real questions, it says a lot about what they think of the fans and trying to discredit them in fan channels. I don't want this to sound like super dramatic or woe is me, because I'm a nobody, but I'm making a stand, like I've said, and I've drawn my line in the sand. I tried to play nice. I tried to play by the rules of showing that we could do content with journalists, speak to them fairly balanced, without any swearing or without any belittling of anybody. And all that got me was thrown under the bus when the slightest bit of aggro came. So the gloves are off for me, like I've said, and I'm making a stand. If football fan content wants to stand with me, or Liverpool aggregate accounts on socials want to stand with me, all I can say is I'll have their back, because I'm seeing journalists call out stuff being out of context when all they do is take our own stuff out of context. But the difference between us and them is I don't give a fuck if they take my stuff out of context or judge me off a clip or a thumbnail. I don't care. I don't need their approval. I don't seek their approval. But they are reliant on fans for a living. And I just don't believe that they're being genuine. Like I keep saying, I don't know who the Echo represents as a publication, because it sure as hell doesn't seem to be the fans that are supposedly reading the publication, because all it is just softball stuff for FSG. It's pathetic. There is no actual pushback, none. You know, like I've said, I think it's appalling. Not just the Echo, but the whole football ecosystem of play ball and we'll pat you on the head and give you some access. Start asking difficult questions or speaking up and we'll belittle you silently and work against you to try and discredit you. And I'm making a stand on it. Because I don't give a shite if they try to discredit me. Because they didn't give me anything. I built this with your trust and my hard work. One of the big worries here in America is hedge funds are starting to buy into sports teams. They're talking about buying teams as an investment for Wall Street. That's FSG, no? Yes. You know, I've said this before. Bought the club for 300 million. Did the basic stuff. Used their knowledge of building up the marketing side of it, the commercial arm of it. And now the value of the club's 5.3 billion. Do we act like a 5.3 billion pound club that's turning over reported to be 700 million pound? Do we fuck? We act like a middle of the road club in the Premier League with our spending. But we're told all the time wage bills high and all the usual nonsense that nobody ever pushes back on. And I'm done with it. You know, if you want to have an honest conversation, we'll have an honest conversation. If you don't, then we're going to keep calling out the bullshit. So we asked you guys, do you think Liverpool make a signing this window? 75% of you guys and girls in the chat don't feel optimistic on it and said no, they don't expect Liverpool to be making a signing in January. Doesn't that hurt? That we're that browbeaten, for want of a better phrase, that this is how we feel. Like I've said this to you all before, anybody who thinks football isn't grubby, you're misplaced. Because I know people have gone and asked about me behind my back. I know people have whispered into others' ears about me being a negative influence and toxic. But you know what? None of these arseholes take the time to come and watch and get to know us or me. Because they'll see we've got a great community. We're in no way toxic. We just call out what we see as misgivings and praise where we need to praise. But if they want to sit in their moral high horses and think they're better than the rest of us, I don't think it'll work out well for them in the long run. That's all I'm going to say, because a lot of these guys are now trying to become YouTubers, but they're missing the one key ingredient, which is relatability and sincerity. So, any polls that you'd like me to put up? Any ideas or suggestions in the chat? You know, it is your show, so let me know. I will be, of course, doing a full recap video after the stream where I break down everything we've spoken about in a little 8-minute bite-sized. By the way, I've really enjoyed that, and been able to do that at night time for people, because I'd hate to have to sift through an hour and a half long stream. So I enjoy the little recaps at night, because often we get a little bit of breaking news late as well, or at least breaking stories, I should say. You give a proper balanced fan view, I think, said Koppel. I try to just say it as I see it. I'm not always right. I am reactionary. I am a little aggressive at times in some of my reactions to stuff. I understand that side of myself. But I do try to give credit where it's due. And one thing you will never see us do, as a channel or as me, is going on taking stuff onto social media, or going at players, or any of that type of shit. Because I wouldn't allow it. Because it's not what we're about. We want to be a welcoming community for people to have an honest discussion about the club in an environment that they feel that they can be honest in and open in. That's all that we try to do. David Massett said, we're top of the league and still feel down because we look like we aren't going to make any signings. I think somebody said a good line in the chat there a second ago. We're conditioned. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. I feel conditioned, and I feel like when we do anything, we're like so excited about it. And you know, when we signed with Toro Endo, I think that's one of the biggest videos we had on the channel for a 13 million quid midfielder from the Bundesliga. That's how little we get in the transfer world, you know. And we're competing with teams who have signed £100 million midfielders. And we're trying to do it on a shoestring budget while wearing an Armani suit. I don't understand it. And I never, ever, ever, ever believe that we don't have the ability to spend. Ever. It's always been my mind that the owners just don't want to spend. We don't have Pizza Hut near me anymore, so I don't really have the opportunity to get it much, but I probably edge Pizza Hut, to be honest with you. I think Domino's have dropped off a little bit. And I'm sick of the price of them is disgusting, by the way. The price of like £5 for chips from Domino's. Like, would you stop it? £7, £7.50 for some chicken tenders. Like, would you get up out of that? Like, stop it. So yeah. Right, I'm still trying to figure out a poll before we finish up. So any suggestions? Right, you know what? I'm going to go straight to the heart of it. Right, here you go. Straightforward, straight to the point. FSG in or out? Have I heard anything about Liverpool linked to Lecce left back? Yes, covered it earlier on, mate. Happy to go back over for you now. 1 second, just scrolling back through my notes. So, a report came out from Solo Lecce, or I believe must be a Lecce-based publication in Italy. Transfer Sector posted it to say, breaking, Liverpool are preparing a €40 million offer to sign Patrick Dorgu from Lecce. He's 20 years of age. He's a left back, Danish international. Looks like a unit of a fella as well. And 1.85 metres tall. So I could understand a couple of things about that. I could understand the Italian side of it. Because obviously Richard Hughes has an extensive knowledge of Italian football, having grown up there. His father worked for Penguin Publishing, I believe, and they lived in Italy. And he came through the system there, so knows a lot about Italian football. And again, right age profile. So it certainly seems like a credible one to me. Somebody's asking about the Salah stuff. So, 1 second, mate. Just get my notes here. 1 second. I'll cover all this stuff, by the way, in the recap video coming up in a while. But, you know, I want to try and answer your questions while you're here as well. Bear with me, please. Where's this one going? Oh yeah, it was in this in here, sorry. So, Anfield Watch have this up at the minute as well, if you want to have a look at it and see the image yourself. So Mr. Turki Al-Sheikh, who is the chairman of the Saudi General Entertainment Authority and a very powerful man in the world of sport, posted a picture of Mohamed Salah in an Al Hilal shirt with a couple of emojis around it. And, you know, I'm just kind of asking why, because, you know, if anybody else posted that, probably wouldn't pay too much notice to it, but he's a serious player and a powerful man in the world of sport, particularly in the world of boxing. And I remember him being asked on Ariel Helwani's podcast. By the way, Ariel Helwani's an amazing journalist, one of the best in any sport, I think. Asked him about Mohamed Salah and Liverpool and Saudi. And the answer at the time was something along the lines of, Salah was open to the move, Liverpool wouldn't sell the player, and that was maybe sometime between 6 months and a year ago. And now all of a sudden, just today out of nowhere, bang, that post gets put out there. And I had to check to make sure it wasn't a fake account, but he has 15 million followers. So why is the question. Never heard of him. Is he a good player? Dorgu, from the very limited few bits I've seen of him, yes, looked decent, but nowhere near enough of him watched to say he's the best version or he's the absolute number one priority at left back or any of that stuff. I haven't got a clue. Matthew said Salah calling in favours to get the contract he wants. Absolutely possible, mate. 100% possible. Just like I said the other day with the Kavica Kvaratskhelia stuff came out from us, from our side, the journalist side, the Liverpool journalist side. I thought this might be a little push to say we have options, but this might be Salah's retort to that same thing, saying so do I. But either way, even if we're saying it is that, right, Salah doing this, them doing that, it's not exactly screaming harmony, is it? It's not exactly screaming we're close to getting an agreement here, or that both sides are coming together. So either way, I'm concerned about it. Even if it is a bit of brinksmanship and bluffing from both sides, it's still not a good sign that things are great and everyone's happy, despite what what people want us to believe. Mohamed Salah himself has said the contract situation's in his head on television. So telling us that these guys are professionals and it doesn't impact them, they're humans as well, like I keep saying, and they want to know where their families are going to be, what school their kids are going to be in. Money doesn't come into it in these things. You still need to know, are you going to have to uproot your family and move to a different city, a different country, a different part of the world, and you want to look ahead to your future. So at the very least, this is a lack of respect, I would say, towards the situation. Angie said FSG, get out of our club, Craig. I'm eating a Star Bar. Nice. Well in, Angie. Have you had a duo one yet, though? The duo ones are legit because you get two. You get to feel like a real little Star Girl. They're delicious. They're my favourite chocolate bar, Angie. And I've got one over there. Do you know what, ladies and gentlemen, though? It's my favourite chocolate time of the year. Shall I tell you why? We're into mini egg season now. And you always see the mini eggs at their peak between January and Easter, and it's my favourite time of the year because I absolutely love Cadbury's mini eggs. And sometimes you can get them all year round, but they're harder enough to get over here in certain shops, when it's not Easter time. So this is my favourite chocolate time of the year. I want to get as many votes as I can on this FSG in or out thing, so please do vote for me if you have a chance. We're going to leave it up for the last 5 minutes or so of the stream, so do let me know your thoughts. Some stuff on left backs as well, like I've said. This piece here from MSI Douglas said, Liverpool are planning to gazump rivals to sign Milos Kerkez. Liverpool City and Manchester United have already started to make contact with the players' representatives, but it's understood he favours a move to Anfield over the Manchester clubs. Then there was talk again about Semenyo and Ben Doak being used as a make-way to try and get Semenyo into Liverpool. Again, I'm wondering, is that as a little reminder to Mohamed Salah or maybe as a replacement? Matt Thomas said, Craig, do you think the pressure on Liverpool is at its highest so far when we play Brentford on the weekend? In my opinion, it's important to get a good game win. You certainly have to show that you're not having a wobble or a fall off in January. Arsenal are the big winners of this round of group games in the Premier League. There's no doubt about that. Chelsea drew, we drew, City drew. So you have to say Arsenal have reined in 2 points there. Now it's on to the weekend. We play at 3 o'clock against Brentford, so we have a chance to lay down a marker. And then Arsenal kick off against Aston Villa. But Arsenal are coming into a very tricky run of fixtures. And my hope, if I'm being honest, is that we can build a buffer, because at the end of the season, we have a horrendous end of season fixture run. So I want us to have a bigger buffer as possible going in towards that part of the season. Who will win the boxing between Ben and Eubank in April? Need to know a few more things. Need to know about the rehydration clause. Is it going to be £10 or is there going to be none? I presume it's at 160. Usually it'd favour the bigger man in Eubank, the naturally bigger man. But, you know, there's a few little things I need to know before I'm going to nail me colours to the mast on that one. On that one. Without FSG, we're back in 4th place. Time to grow up. Cool. Patrick, you're entitled to your opinion, but you don't get to tell me to grow up, mate. That's being an arsehole. And, you know, I've responded to you politely and kindly. Telling everybody to grow up just because you don't agree with them is not great. And I'm not sure if you enjoyed last season when you were top of the league at one point and fell away because we don't have enough players. But, you know, I don't want to see it happen again. So, you know, you're entitled to think they're good owners, mate. That absolutely, that's on you. You're entitled to your own opinion, but you don't get to come in and belittle anybody else in the chat, me or anybody else, or you're going to get walked. It's quite simple. So be respectful, and we'll all get along just fine, even with different opinions. But start coming in being an arsehole, it's not going to end well, bro. If the end of January, 0 contracts renewed, 0 signings, Hughes surely must be sacked. If not, then it's all FSG sanctioned and we should force them out. I feel like it has to be FSG sanctioned. When you've got the likes of The Athletic putting out a piece that said, Richard Hughes, do you know what, I'll read it out to you because I still have it here from yesterday, so bear with me. So this one said, while Richard Hughes has come under scrutiny for not getting contract extensions for Salah, Van Dijk and Trent wrapped up, he can only make offers within a financial framework acceptable to the owners. So, you know, I've always said it's on the owners because I've never believed that these lads are able to have autonomy to make decisions without getting the go-ahead from the owners. So, you know, I've never believed that side of it personally. But I do feel like the owners are now lowballing the contracts. So, by the way, we're only 117 likes away from 1,000. So, if you can hit that like button before we finish up, greatly appreciated. And Diviam, let me just get your super chat up, bro. And again, thank you. I guess we're going to spend heavily in the summer for sure because some players are going to leave the squad. But the major issue slot is coach and not apparently directly connected with management, so I don't know what the management will do. Yeah, I'm worried in that regard as well, Diviam, because I don't really have trust in our club to spend the money needed to maybe replace some of these big players over the years. So, I don't know the inner workings of the club, but I can see a world where they want to get rid of the big earners off the books, but I don't think that's the right decision now. But, you know, this is when you get radio silence, mate. You have to try and fill in these voids yourself because there's so much contradicting information out there, and I'm still waiting for the generational talent that we're apparently capable of signing, that we have the money for. Because, you know, when I see things like Liverpool have no PSR problems and are about to announce a potential £700 million turnover, I'm thinking, strike now. Well, others can't sign players because other clubs like United and others have PSR concerns. We don't. So go get the players now while the competition isn't there or they can't spend the money. And then let them all figure it out afterwards where we're sailing off into the sunset winning league titles. That's my take on it anyway. And thank you again, Diviam. You're very kind, mate. Said, adding to my previous comment, they had a problem with the manager, so they chose Slot as a coach, not as a manager. because Klopp was a thorn in FSG side, so they didn't choose manager and choose a coach. Exactly. But Arne Slot, Diviam, and I think you'd agree with me, is being put in a position where he's been asked to answer manager-type questions as a head coach, which is why your sporting director should be there answering the stuff that Arne Slot isn't empowered to deal with. Other words, why be at pains to say he's a head coach? You know, so I think we're on the same page here, mate. But yeah, I find it very cowardly that Edwards and Hughes get to just act in the shadows, and Arne gets in front of the media non-stop to be asked questions that he might not even know the answers to, all of them, and questions that quite frankly shouldn't be being put to him. So I feel sorry for the manager in that regard, because I'm sure he doesn't want to be talking about player contracts all the time in press conferences, and he's been very good humoured about it, and he's tried to find a way to bat it away and make a joke, and fair play to Arne Slot for that. I think he's dealt with it magnificently, but if I was him, I'd be pretty pissed off about the persona non grata that is Richard Hughes. Just nowhere to be seen. Des said, "You're wasting your time, your breath, Craig, banging the same drum. It ain't happening with these cheapskates." But you see, Des, the only other option is for me to just stop and give up. And I don't want to give up, mate, because the club is in a spot where, with a bit of encouragement, with a bit of investment, with a bit of ballsiness, you know, we can push on. And I think you'd probably agree with me on that. And yeah, you're probably right, mate. They are cheap. I get that. But I can't give up, because if I give up and others just stop talking about it, what do we do? And I'm not trying to say like I have some powerful, influential voice. I'm not. But I can only do what I can do and say what I can say and give my view and hope people have similar feelings and come along with us. But I can't force others into using their platforms to speak out. And Nav, how are you, bro? Said, "I'm sick and tired of what football has become. Keep everything genuine and honest. Bring passion. I really appreciate and enjoy listening to you." Thank you. Like I said to my wife the other day when I decided I'm not setting foot in Anfield again while FSG own the club, that was a horrible decision to have to make. But you know when you go somewhere and you spend a lot of money, because, you know, those tickets weren't cheap. They were £390 sterling each. And I'm going to go to the game, and I'll be sitting there wondering if I'm going to get into the stadium. Probably will. I'll be sitting there knowing I'm being eyeballed, because a lot of people don't like me and don't want me in and around the club. And I mean that from a journalist perspective and probably from the club as well. And I shouldn't feel that way. I should be able to go there and be comfortable and enjoy myself and have fun supporting the club that I've paid a lot of money to go and watch a game with. But I don't. I feel sick to my stomach. And I feel like I'm adding to the problem. So I'm not going again. And somebody's going to my place to the game with Connor, so he's not going to miss out on the trip, thankfully. But I'm never going to set foot inside Anfield while FSG own the club, because I despise them and everything that they stand for, which isn't, in my opinion, what Liverpool was built on. So, you know, that was horrible. And I hope I get to go in the future. And no one's stopping me going. I'm making this as a conscious decision, but I don't want to sit somewhere and feel uncomfortable. And not safety-wise. You know, I'm not saying anybody punch my head in or at them, but I know I'm not welcome. The club have made that pretty fucking clear when we've asked them twice with long emails to just explain why we're being frozen out, or can we say goodbye to Jurgen Klopp and buy tickets to the farewell? No answer. We ask, can we have an interview with a player? Nope, they're too busy, but others, men in blazers and everybody else gets interviews. And then you've got fan supporters clubs in America telling us the club reached out to them asking what their business was with us. And you're just feeling like they pretend to be some fucking bastion of morality, when they're not. They're not at all. It's fucking greasy, slimy, and I'm just tired of it because I shouldn't be giving a damn about the financials as a football fan. I should take it for granted that whoever owns our football club wants the best for it and is going to give everything for it. And I don't feel that way with these owners. Patrick, you say greatest of respect and then go straight into we sound like United fans. Nobody's tried to tell you, Patrick, you're not allowed to have an opinion tonight, my friend. Nobody. And I recognise your name from our chat for a long time, mate. I know you've been in our community for a while. But maybe what I could try and say to you is, for me, it's not about what we have won. Because what we have won has been brilliant. And we certainly appreciate the league title and the European Cup. But what we haven't done, mate, is push on and strengthen from that position. So a lot of us are confused as why the owners come in and you build a club to a level where success has been brought and it's been acknowledged and it's been appreciated. But then you stall and you don't kick on. And then you look across the Atlantic to Boston and you see a similar thing of initial success and then a lack of appetite. And you ask yourself, do they really give it all? Do they really go to bed at night thinking about how we can make Liverpool better? And the answer to me has been a resounding no. And whether that answer, Patrick, is because they're absent and they can't be shown up, or they're spread too thin across projects, I just don't think they have good intentions. And the Super League was the end of it all for me with any trust, because they took all of that heritage, all of that history, tradition, support, acknowledgement around the world, and they leveraged it to try and sell us out, to put more money in their back pockets by going into a closed shop and sticking two fingers up to us. They didn't tell the manager, they didn't tell the players, they didn't tell anyone. We woke up to a press release and they thought that was that. And they did it so slyly behind the scenes. And if you think that that's okay, mate, and you're happy to move on with that, I'm not going to tell you you're not welcome here. But would you please stop belittling other people who think differently? Because we express our position. I'd like you to take the time to express yours. And then we can talk about it properly. But do you think there's many players are coming from youth academies like Dan's, Conor Bradley by Cecic, or do we look outside? Can you see La Masia from Barcelona? They produce good talent, so can we do investing in more talent and not looking at the other side? Your thoughts? We've invested well, bringing in youthful talent, but it's a very difficult thing to make that last jump, Divian, from youth football to the first team. Some talent is undeniable. Your Trents, your Raheem Sterlings, your Michael Owens, your Steven Gerrards, undeniable. You know they're going there. Young Rio looks like he's heading in the same direction. We brought in by Cecic, which was the last player Liverpool signed before the whole Brexit stuff. So they have invested in young talent. But it's about supplementing that young talent and using that young talent when it's best for the talent and not out of necessity or not out of desperation. And often I've found that when we've had to turn to the young players, like by Cecic in midfield, it's been out of desperation rather than a planned a censure through the system, if you get me. David said, I made the same decision. I'm not going to Anfield till the owners go. It's saving me money not flying from Italy. I'm upset about it, but I've had enough. It wasn't an easy decision for me either, mate. But it's a moral one that I feel comfortable with. Because I can't repeat myself. You know, it is what it is. Divian, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. Look, ladies and gents, it's been a really long one tonight, but I'm going to leg it and get myself a bit of dinner and get the news video out. So do check back if you're just joining us in about 15 minutes or so, and I'll have a full news video up for you covering all the ins and outs today, the transfer market and what's been said and what hasn't been said and where we are. But let me just say again, to our sponsors, Surfshark, thank you. To you guys, thank you. We wouldn't be here without you. We're heading towards 300,000 subscribers. I'm trying to get there before the end of January. Don't know if we will or not, but if you can help us out on the way by hitting that subscribe button, by letting people know about us, it's much appreciated. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Oh, we'll end the poll actually. Sorry, my apologies. We'll end the poll first. Thank you for reminding me. So it was FSG and our FSG out with about 1,300 votes, and 84% are FSG out. Now look, I'm aware in my community that poll's going to be probably tilted in favour of people that have a similar mindset to me. But it's still a good chunk of the Liverpool fan base either way, and I don't think anybody takes any pleasure in saying FSG out, because we don't want that to be the case. But it is what it is, and we've seen what we've seen, and we feel how we feel, and it doesn't look like they've any intent on changing that. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Much love and thank you again. Talk to you then.